It's the Australian state that's quite literally running out of people. Experts are raising the alarm over demographic decline in Tasmania, calling it a grim example of what could hit the rest of the country in the future. They're warning if the state doesn't stage a comeback soon, its ageing population will essentially be left without enough young people to look after them. So, what do the latest numbers tell us? Well, the Apple Isle had the lowest population growth of any state or territory last year at just 0.3%, far below the national figure of 1.6%. The state's natural population increase, which is the number of births minus deaths, came in at just over 300 people, while it lost 1,600 people to interstate migration. Simon Kustenmacher from the Demographics Group said the state was already the country's oldest, with a median age of about 42, and it had become locked in to a vicious cycle of aging.
So the worst case scenario that we want to avoid becomes increasingly the likely case. And this is you have an ever larger aging population that has no chance of receiving the services that they deserve in old age. And so what happens then? Well, nothing happens. These are just underserviced areas where you need to drive an awful long time. God knows how you're doing this if you don't have local family available, to the next hospital where there is no local care around, where you're just being isolated more and more. We know that that's god awful for your mental health in old age. If you're feeling sick and you on top of this are isolated, that's very, very bad for you. So that'll happen. You'll have much more loneliness in old age. You'll have much worse health, mental health and physical health in old age. You'll probably see people die sooner rather than later. All of this at the moment seems to be the likely scenario.
But it wasn't always this dire for Tasmania. From 2016 through the COVID pandemic, the state's population actually boomed, with positive interstate migration and a growth rate of up to 2%. Surpassing the national growth rate. Then working from home fell out of favour and the nation transitioned to hybrid work, with Aussies still having to go into the office once or twice a week. In 2022, Tasmania's population growth rate crashed and interstate migration flipped negative, staying in the red ever since. The population spike turned out to be a blip. Mr. Kustenmacher argued Tasmania was essentially 20 years ahead of the rest of the country in terms of demographic development, and other states would face the same issue as their birth rates decline. He said the state should focus on attracting young people with generous tax cuts on housing, and he called for federal spending on pilot programs such as telehealth in Tasmania in order to find out what works as the entire nation heads towards demographic decline.
We should really double down any kind of clinical trial about serious preventative medicine for the 60 plus cohorts in Tasmania. We should absolutely double down on this like crazy, because this problem will hit the rest of Australia, guaranteed.